Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 78 of the Anime Banter podcast with your hosts, Turtle, Mike, and me, Sean. Thank you for joining us today. How are you guys doing?
I am doing fantastic. How are you guys doing?
Fair. So. Mediocre?
Only fair.
Nah, I'm better than fair. I get to hang out with you guys and talk anime.
Hooray!
Yeah. No, that's some good stuff. Yeah, happy to be back for another week. Some interesting news happened recently. And as our listeners know, sometimes we don't dive right into the review. Sometimes we talk about a couple other things. And we're going to talk about this Gundam Card Game that's been announced.
I like Gundam. And I like
Turtle,
card games.
I was going to say, Turtle, this feels like the perfect thing for you because you have been the biggest Gundam fan I've ever met. Like,
Yes,
going back to
I'm a big
middle
fan.
school.
Yes, giant robots are super cool. And with age comes financial growth. So I was able to purchase some of these old shows on Blu-ray and that so I can watch them. And I went all the way back to the beginning and started, series after series watching these old shows, and it just made me a bigger fan. I really like this series.
Yeah, we don't do a lot of Gundam talk here necessarily, which is funny because of how iconic it is as a series. We did a little bit, Turtle, on our Toonami flashback.
Yes.
I highly recommend it to our listeners. If you want to hear Turtle and I review like 70 shows over the course of an hour, we just rapid fire through them, and it's really fun. But yeah, lots of Gundams in there appearing on Toonami. And that's where most Americans' first exposure was to it if you're older than the age of, I don't know, 20 or something.
Yeah, it's some of the newer shows I've not seen. So maybe if listeners you want us to review some of the newer Gundams, let us know because I've seen primarily some of the older ones, but I'd be up for watching some of the newer ones.
Yeah, Mike, have you ever seen a Gundam series?
I don't think I have, honestly.
We're gonna have to change that.
Well, hold up. I got a few Gundam critiques here.
Uh-oh.
But no, Gundam is iconic. The robots are fantastic. The fight scenes are so much fun. And they create they make creative, dynamic characters who are very memorable in their own right. The problem is that sometimes with these shows, they're very political. If you're not into political theater, do not watch the series because most of them, not all of them, but most of them are they're very political. So oh, that's not your thing. And you're like, I just want to watch giant robots clash with each other. Um, but also if you're like, I love political intrigue and like a kind of deep plot, then yeah, check out Gundam.
I mean, if you just want to see giant robots fighting each other, check out G Gundam because there's no politics in that one. It's just big robots punching each other.
That is the politics.
Yeah.
That's how they settle their differences, right?
Hey, I like G Gundam too. Not everybody does, but I enjoy it for what it is.
Um, but yeah, they announced this card game, and looking at it, we talk about now. We don't talk about Gundam a lot on this podcast. But we do talk about card games from time to time. As you know, a number of us play a number of card games. And this card game, I follow Bandai Premium. They released a card game edition beta, so you're like, oh, I can like essentially get the beta testing of the game, like that kit. And I think it cost it was $60 or $70, which isn't that unreasonable for kind of like a limited edition pre-release. But I got the email for it at 8 in the morning, and when I finally read the email at 1 o'clock and clicked the link, it was already sold out. I'm like, oh my gosh! Just in 5 hours, they sold out of their allotment of the beta. And knowing the way Bandai Premium does it, they're not gonna restock it. So, uh, I was considering like picking up the beta just to get like some of those early cards, and definitely no, not to scalp online. No way.
You would
Uh,
Don't do
never
that.
do such a
I
thing
would
like that.
never. But I at least wanted to pick it up and see what it was all about. You know what I mean? Like play a game or two, like just to figure out, like, hey, this is kind of cool. Maybe I'd buy more, maybe not. But yeah, you can't even get it now. It's done. They already they already ended that. Yeah, if you click on the link, it says quantity, sorry, out of stock. So
Missed
yeah,
it by that much.
yeah. I wish I had checked my email earlier in the day. I probably would have bought at least one just to check it out. But
I don't even think I got that email, being honest. That kinda
maybe
bums
not.
me out. They just don't care about me anymore. Although I've not been buying One Piece cards, so that's probably why they booted me from their list.
Yeah, I bought some Gundam stuff from there recently. Um, it's funny in our household we have an interesting household dynamic where I think Gundam's just okay, but my wife loves Gundam. So like they release like some Gundam Wing stuff. Gundam Wing specifically is her favorite, and there was some Gundam Wing stuff there recently, and she had to get it. So yeah, I bought a bunch of stuff for her on Bandai Premium, and yeah, that's probably why I got the warning about the the beta product. If only I was quicker on the draw. But yeah, I mean, this joins their other card games: Dragon Ball Super, Digimon, Union Arena.
Battle Spirit Saga,
Yeah,
One Piece.
One Piece. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the fact that they have all those is insane.
Yeah, it's
And
like too many card games.
I love card games, but yeah, not that much. So I played Digimon for a little bit. I stopped after like 3 or 4 sets because it was just too much money to keep up with. Uh, I'm not, despite how much I travel, I'm not independently wealthy necessarily. So I can play 6 card games at one time, or I can travel, and I'm gonna pick travel.
Yeah, I was like way into the One Piece card game, and I managed to keep up to about set 5, and I had to fall off. And I had to start saving money, so something had to go. Sadly, it was One Piece.
And I'm still playing Lorcana.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you still playing any games, Turtle and Mike? Yeah.
I'm
Not
still
me,
hard
really.
on. I was gonna say you've been. We try to get you to play a couple games, Turtle, but you're just not having it. We've tried to get you into Commander. That's a
Yeah,
cheap game to get. That's cheap to get into. You just have to buy a pre-con deck.
yeah, and my brother played Magic for a hot minute, so I mean, I learned the basic rule set. So obviously I would have to be brushed up, but yeah, I mean, I basically know how to play. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to save up for a house, to be honest, and houses are expensive. The market right now is stupid, so I'm just trying to save what I can.
I'm too scared to get back into Magic. I played in college, and I'm worried that's a slippery slope to get back
The-
into. Especially they're releasing all this cool stuff. Like there's a what is it? There's like a Transformer set, a 40K set. Um, there's
well, the
the Baldur's Gate
40K set
set.
was just. Yep.
Commander, right?
Yeah. The Transformer stuff were just like inserts into a certain set.
Oh,
Like
they
it didn't have
just
a full.
Secret Lair or whatever it's called.
Not even Secret Lair. Like it was the Brothers War, and they would have like a card every couple packs or whatever.
Oh, huh. I thought it was I thought
I
that was
think
gonna be
they
like
might
a
have done they might have did a Secret Lair for it, but
maybe.
it didn't have like a full blown out set dedicated to it.
Yeah, and once again with the wife, I keep getting scared because we have some friends who play Magic who tell her they're like, hey, there's a Mothman commander deck, and she's like, what? I love Mothman. She doesn't even like
Well,
Fall 76. She loves Mothman.
I was gonna say it's Mothman from Fallout.
Yeah, she doesn't care about Fallout. She just likes Mothman. And then
Well,
she saw the Secret Lair Astarion cards from Baldur's Gate
I
3, and she's
I
like,
bought those.
yeah, she's tempted by the Astarion card specifically, and I'm like, please don't start playing Magic. It's funny, a guy not wanting his wife to play card games with him, but gosh, I just know the slippery slope of
Yeah.
that card. It's easier for me to control how much Final Fantasy I buy. If she gets into Magic, man, our house is gonna be a mess.
And then in 2025, Sean, we're getting a Magic crossover and a Final Fantasy crossover for Magic.
Yeah, I heard the Final Fantasy crossover, which kind of makes me mad. I'm hoping maybe it shows people who play Magic that there's actually a Final Fantasy trading card game out there.
Maybe.
Would be nice.
I was talking to the one guy, the one employee at Top Deck, our local game shop. They have 14 playmats ready to go for the Final Fantasy Magic set. Through Wizards, there are 14 Final Fantasy playmats coming.
Are you freaking kidding me?
That's
Nope.
wow.
Stay strong, Sean. Stay
Don't give in.
strong.
You can do it, Sean.
This
Don't
is
give
how
in.
Sean gets back into Magic. We'll circle back on this in 2025, listeners.
Mike will not let Sean forget about it.
Hit those comments up and tell Sean to start playing Commander.
Yeah. Yeah, tell me what commander deck to buy, everyone. I'm not gonna buy one. Though I don't know. It's tempting. I was tempted. I was at the Pittsburgh Gaming Expo recently, and it was a pretty nice. I was at the Deepman Files booth. As I mentioned before, the Deepman Files podcast is back. Everyone give it a listen. But we were there, and they had just like from the booth, I could look over, and I could just see two tables filled with card game cards. And I was just looking. I was like, man, especially sometimes when you work a show, especially when you're an indie booth, you don't necessarily stay busy the entire time because people who don't. So there are some people who just won't buy anything indie, right? They're like, I don't recognize that brand. I'm not interested in that brand. I'm gonna walk away from it, right? But then there's some people who are like, oh look, they sell books and stuff with RPG, and I'm willing to check out indie brands. So yeah, thank you for all those people who do. But for the people who don't, there's a lot of them, and so that you end up with long stretches of time, especially towards the beginning and end, where people just don't come to visit you. They just like you're just sitting in your booth on your phone, burning time because there's no one approaching you. So you end up looking around and you're like, what's out there? And you're like, boy, do I buy like $100 worth of Magic the Gathering cards because I'm bored? It's a lot of money to spend, but boredom, it's very difficult.
Curse you, boredom.
Think how much fun you would have while opening the packs.
That opening packs is an addiction, man.
It is.
I need the dopamine hit. Yo, I just want to open some packs right now. Oh my gosh.
It could be
man.
anything. It could even be a boat.
There could be a boat in there.
And me at 11 o'clock tonight googling if there are any game stores open. Is my Walmart open so I can buy some packs?
I don't even want the cards. I just want to open the packs.
No, I almost did that though. The one table they had Transformers cards from the Dead Transformers game.
Oh yeah, I
And
remember
they were
that.
selling for $3 a pack, but I bet you I could have told the guy like, hey, if I buy all your packs, I'll pay you $2 a pack. Bet he would have done it.
Just to get rid of it.
Yeah, just to get rid of it because it looked like a kind of box he wanted to get rid of real bad. And I was like, man, I love Transformers. I want to open me some Transformers packs. And I was like, yeah, but then I have to like store the cards afterwards.
Right?
Yeah, and I don't want to do that. I still, from our pack opening videos, I still have those Digimon cards completely unsorted, sitting in the original pack that I bought them in, just like sitting on my table over here. And I'm like, man, I don't know, like I don't want to sort these and put them anywhere. You hate to just throw them out, though,
Right?
but I'm tempted. All right, well, we've had you listen to us talk about Gundam and card games, but we're really here today to talk about episode 2 of the Hashira Training Arc of Demon Slayer and episode 152 of My Hero Academia. We'll start with Demon Slayer Hashira Training Arc, episode 2, Water Hashira Giyu Tomioka's Pain. Once again, disclaimer, I am not always the best at pronunciation of these names, so please forgive me. We open with the crow speaking with Tamayo to bridge the gap between episodes. That's exactly where we left off. The crow then leaves. She tells Yushiro that change has been set into motion, and we cut into the opening credits. But I do want to make a note that not only is it a shorter episode this week because we're back on our normal runtime, but we're at 5 minutes after the opening, and literally nothing's happened. So I feel like it's like I understand we got a longer first episode, but like 5 full minutes into the episode with nothing happening is kind of a lot, I think, for a 23-minute episode. You subtract the ending and like little goofy stuff they have at the end, that's like another 3 minutes gone. And like 8 of your 23 minutes, are kind of spent with like goofy stuff and credits and recaps. So I don't know. Well, we rolled those credits, so our music expert Turtle will give us the rundown.
Expert is such a strong word.
Um,
The
Uh,
opening.
our, our our resident music enjoyer, Turtle.
Oh, there we go. I'll take that. The opening theme is called Mugen, and it's by the band My First Story, featuring Hyde. That's right. This is the first collaboration on this show. I saw an article with like a brief interview, and it seems like My First Story is like a newer band, and Hyde is actually the lead singer for the band. I'm probably going to say this wrong. I don't know how they pronounce it. Larkin Seal. I'm not really familiar with My First Story, but Larkin Seal has actually been around since the 90s, and they've had several of their hits, which have been used for other anime themes, be it openings, clothings, whatever. But they've had songs used for a Godzilla movie, Final Fantasy The Spirits Within, the original Full Metal Alchemist, and its movie, Conqueror of Shambhala. Great movie, by the way. Also, Mobile Suit Gundam Double Zero. We were just talking about Gundam. And more recently, a theme song from the show Eden Zero. This is a great like rock slash metal song, and I actually pulled up the full version on YouTube, and I gotta say, I like this track a lot. The second verse of the song, which we don't hear in the opening, has some really cool bass lines that they bring to the foreground. You can actually hear them. And at the very end of the song, both singers have like a scream off, which is pretty cool. So I recommend this song. Definitely check this one out. I give it a 4 stars out of 5.
Thank you, Turtle.
Welcome.
After the opening credits, we are shown Tanjiro reading the letter from Kagaya Ubayashiki. The letter, narrated by him, says that he can't move anymore, and he can't speak with Giyu Tomioka, the water Hashira. He wants the Hashira to be a unified force, and to please convince him to work with the others. Tanjiro leaves and declares to Aoi Kanzaki that he needs to speak with someone. I'm guessing Tomioka. He has to speak with her first. He wants to convince the Water Hashira that he's not alone. Aoi Kanzaki isn't sure how to help him with that dilemma, but sends him with rice balls for the both of them. Good plan.
I mean, what better way to spice up, like get someone to open up than with good food? It's like, hey, I got this good food for you. You can either eat with me or not get this good food. It's up to you.
I mean, everybody likes food. You need it to survive.
And those rice balls look pretty dang delicious.
I've never actually had rice balls. I kind of want to try some. Like they have different fillings, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, I've made them at home before.
Well, next time you
Uh,
make them, call me over. I want to eat some.
a good point. No joke though. When I went to Japan, they sell them at the 7-Eleven, and there were rumors that they're bringing teriyaki rice balls to U.S. They're talking about revamping. Essentially, how do I say this? They had a business meeting pretty much and said, "Okay, where do we make all of our money? Gas and people buying cigarettes." And the trend is that less people are buying gas because of electric vehicles, and less people buy cigarettes just because I think a lot of people just kind of realize it's bad for you,
Very,
So they're
very
like,
unhealthy.
yeah, exactly. Oh, and then they're just better lunch options these days. The places like Sheets and Wawa locally, while on the east side of the state, she's on the west side of the state, where you can go buy like some decent quality like made to order food on the quick. And 7-Eleven still just has like the roller hot dogs. And trust me, I enjoy a roller hot dog here and there, but I guess I prefer to like a sporting event or something like that as opposed to like lunch at the 7-Eleven. So, yeah, essentially their food is garbage and they they are supposedly testing out on the West Coast these teriyaki rice balls and the Japanese egg salad sandwiches. Which let me tell you, a good Japanese egg salad sandwich made with the Kewpie mayo. Oh my gosh, it's so dang good. And the fluffy white bread. Ah, so
I would just hesitate to eat that from a gas station. It brings to mind that one Futurama episode with the worms. And in fact, I think he did eat an egg salad sandwich in that episode.
I believe you're right.
Not to
Also,
say that that would happen, but I hesitate.
and don't knock the roller hot dog. Have you had one of Turtle's roller hot dogs? They're amazing.
I bought a roller, everybody. I
You've
bought a
bought
hot dog
multiple
roller.
rollers.
I have. See, I bought a little one, but then it was too small when I wanted to make more hot dogs. Like you get the bun length hot dogs, you're supposed to fit 8 on that roller. Well, you get the bun length, it only fits 4. They're not big enough. You got to get the tiny hot dogs. Nobody wants to eat tiny hot dogs. You want the big hot dogs. So I had to upgrade and get a bigger roller. It's called Big 12.
And then I buy the mega girthy hot dogs from Sam's Club, and they're too damn big for the Big 12.
They're freaking huge, dude. What are they like a pound each?
I don't know.
A 2 pound hot dog? It's ridiculous. But they were delicious.
crap, Toro, you should just buy an industrial sized one like the ones they have at 7-Eleven and just start selling like, taquitos and hot dogs and, the buffalo chicken roll thing that they have there. Just start selling them out of your apartment.
See, this is it. If I get a house, I could just have like a whole hot dog cooking area.
That's gonna be
So
Turtle's dinner, lunch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner every night is just roller hot dogs.
Leaves for
don't
work, puts the hot dogs on the roller, lets them sit for 12 hours on the roller, comes home, dinner's done.
gonna open up a Patreon. Y'all can donate to me. I'll buy a house and get a hot dog room, and everyone can come over and have hot dogs.
Run it out of your garage.
Exactly. I gotta buy a house with a garage. It's
You
on the
can't afford
list.
that. Never mind.
It's on the list.
I'm kidding, by the way.
I'm kidding
I
about the
can't. I,
Patreon
I
thing
can't.
too.
I will say I also can't afford a house with a garage, so it's okay. Or spend my garage money on vacation.
I don't even do that. What does vacation mean?
You'll find out one of these days, Taro.
One day when I grow up, I'm gonna go on vacation.
Going back to Demon Slayer, I love how the master in his letters like, be persistent, Tandra. Bleh. Be persistent, Tandra. I almost called him Todoroki. I was getting ahead of myself.
Wrong
That's
show.
right.
Yeah.
all these T's, all these T names.
They're blending together.
But yeah, I love how the master's like, yes, be persistent because otherwise he won't listen.
I mean, he does have a habit of just sort of like walking away from everything.
Tanjiro starts walking with crutches and the rice balls and calls out to the water Hashira.
Also,
Tanjiro yelled, "Oh yeah,
sorry, Sean, not to interrupt, but
no, yeah.
like I'm waiting for like every time we start a new arc, Tanjiro's just beaten more and more. It's like, oh, first it's like his arm, now it's like then it's both arms, then it's like arms and legs. It's like by the end of this show, he's just gonna be like a walking body cast.
Well, that's how Deku was in our other show,
Yeah.
where like he would use his powers and just break all of his limbs on repeat. At the end of every arc, he was just like crumbled into dust. But Tanjiro gets there and he says, "Hello, I'm coming in." And Tomioka's like, he's like, "Oh, is that Tanjiro? Oh, he's not coming in. He'll just go away." And then Tanjiro appears in the door.
I love how he's like, go away. And Tanjiro's like, okay, I'm coming in.
I love the internal monologue. It's like, surely he said he was leaving. I must have misheard him. It was so good.
Tanjiro fills me on some things going on. Everybody's busy with the training. Uh, and then the internal monologue again, where he says he's thinking too close. Tomioka's thinking that about Tanjiro, sitting too close. And then Tanjiro will be ready to go in 7 days. But Tanjiro, he detects the scent of anger. And Tomioka drops a major bomb on Tanjiro. He's upset that Tanjiro never perfected water breathing. After all, he's meant to become the next water Hashira. He already talked to the master about it, or Tanjiro already talked to the master about it, however, and he said it's not uncommon to create your own breathing style after some time. So, like, you start with water and then you kind of develop it into something else. Water breathing is apparently very fundamentally sound, so it's a great launching point for developing other techniques. That's not what Tomioka's talking about. He says they're missing a water Hashira. But isn't Tomioka right there? Tomioka claims he's not the water Hashira, and that it's time for Tanjiro to leave. Tanjiro remembers that the letter says to not give up and persist until Tomioka sees the light. Tanjiro seemingly leaves, but then he comes back the next day with more rice balls.
Everyone starts with water breathing, and then they make serpent breathing.
Well, I mean, some waters or some serpents live in water, so I mean that makes sense, right? You transition. Then where do you go from serpent?
Insect.
Okay, because um, serpents, some serpents eat insects. I don't know if that's true. Where do you go from there? Fire, because fire kills insects, and then fire is put out by water, and we've just made a circle.
Well, fiery passion, love Hashira, right? You know, love
Ah,
breathing, love
I see what you
breathing.
did there. I like it.
I don't know.
Love breathing.
But yeah, Tanjiro comes back the next day with rice balls and he leaves them for Tomioka. Tomioka finds Tanjiro, but just walks away. Tanjiro, with a goofy look on his face, follows Tomioka, saying, "Master Giyu, how are you doing today, Mr. Giyu, Mr. Giyu, what are you doing today, Mr. Giyu? Sure is nice outside today, Mr. Giyu. Did you have enough to eat, Mr. Giyu?" Just like he's just like, and I gotta hand it to the voice actor for Tanjiro because like this whole episode, Tanjiro speaks with like the goofiest voice, and it like that's what carries me through this episode is like the constant like almost feeling of chuckling at number one Tanjiro's voice, and number two like the way they animate him in like a very almost like chibi-esque way to make him look like extra cute, I guess. Like when he's like asking these like annoying questions.
I was absolutely losing it at this montage of like following him around. It's like the master's like, be persistent. And Tanjiro's like, okay, got it. Stalk him. That's what I'll do.
Stalk 'em. Yeah, I was a big fan of this. I genuinely think with the animation and like you said, Sean, with the voiceover, this was just very, very funny, and I enjoyed this quite a bit.
And eventually, this keeps happening. And Tomioka finally is ground down enough to the point where he asks, "Will Tanjiro do this forever? What if I just talk to him?" And that's what happens. Tomioka reveals that he never passed the final selection. "What's that?" we all say in unison. Because I was like, "What's the final selection?" I don't even know. But apparently it's the trial on the mountain that everyone goes with. I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot it was called that. I don't know.
It's been a while.
Yeah, but the trial on for the trial on the mountain, Tomioka was not alone. There was a boy named Sabito with peach-colored hair. He'll never forget that day. Tomioka and Sabito were 13 years old and great friends. Sabito had a strong sense of justice and a good heart. However, during that year's selection, the only person to die was Sabito. He managed to kill almost every single demon single-handedly, which allowed everyone to pass. Sabito even saved Tomioka from the very first demon he encountered. After saving Tomioka, Sabito ran off, and Tomioka lived But even though he lived, he never actually killed a demon during the trial, and he's definitely not worthy of the title of Water Hashira. He seems to have a severe case of imposter syndrome. He says he'll never be able to manifest a mark and has nothing to offer in his training. Tanjiro says he understands that Tomioka feels like he should have been the one to die that day. Tanjiro understands how that feels. In Sabito, even actually trained Tanjiro on the mountain. If we go back to that episode, but Tanjiro feels that way about the Flame Hashira Rengoku. Would Tanjiro dying in place of Rengoku have changed anything? Could Rengoku have, with more training, gotten strong enough to beat one of these demons that he lost to back then? We're not sure. But Tanjiro thinks of one last argument. With Sabito entrusted to Tomioka, shouldn't he pass that on?
Was I the only one who forgot that Sabito trained um Tanjiro?
Nope, I forgot too.
Yeah, until they showed a flashback of it, or Tanjiro mentioned it. I
Yeah.
forgot entirely.
I'm like, oh, okay, sure, that happened.
I remember
I
him
mean,
seeing a ghost. I just didn't realize it was
yeah,
Sabito.
to be fair, like we're talking how many years ago when that first aired?
Yeah, that was like season 1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I haven't watched that since it came out. So yeah, I completely forgot. And then when they explained this, I was like, I kind of remember something like that. Sure, let's run with it.
We're shown a flashback with Sabito and Tomioka. Tomioka says it would have been better if he died instead of his sister, who hid him to protect him. Sabito slaps him and tells him, "Never say that again." He has to carry on her memory. He has to pass on the future she gave him. How could he forget that conversation? Here's how. He buried it deep because of unbearable grief that paralyzed him. Tanjiro is worried that he broke Tomioka because Tomioka seems incredibly depressed. But Tanjiro thinks of a solution. The solution? A speed eating contest. And just as Tomioka is about to move forward with the training, yeah, after like processing his feelings, he's like, "I'm gonna train." And Tanjiro says, "We're gonna have a speed eating contest." And Tomioka asks, "Why?"
This whole everything is just hilarious to me.
I love how like this was Tanjiro's thing. It's like, oh crap, I must have screwed up. Speed eating contest, go!
He always goes right to food.
Like a good shonen protagonist. We shift to both of them eating. At the training, we flip over to the insect Hashira after Tanjiro mentions that the insect Hashira isn't going to be training anyone. She speaks internally to herself that the immature are not able to control their emotions. Kanao appears and informs the insect Hashira that she will be taking part in the Hashira training. The insect Hashira informs Kanao that the insect Hashira will not be taking part. Kanao just wants to train with the insect Hashira. And there's a note that Kanao has become more candid in expressing her feelings. But the timing is perfect. The insect Hashira is going to tell Kanao about how to kill the very demon who killed the insect Hashira's sister. And that's it for the episode. We rolled the ending credits, which Turtle, want to give us the rundown.
I'll keep this one brief. The ending theme is called, oh dear God, EQ Tokoshi, and it's by Yuki Kajiura, and it's the series composer. The song is rock, it's techno, it's even got a choir and some orchestration to it. It's a very cool song. I'm also going to give this one a 4 out of 5. If you haven't watched the show, if you're not following with us, check it out. It's really cool.
And then, what did you guys think about the episode?
I thought it was fine. It was a good like okay like plot point. Like okay, like the water Hashira walked away last episode, so why and get a little background on him. But like I'm just ready for the training to actually begin.
That's fair. I kind of like this one. Obviously, I think last week's episode 1, is much better. But then again, that was basically 2 episodes, or at least the length of 2 episodes. There's really no action in this one, but it asks some questions, it answers some questions, and we got some funny Tanjiro bits, which always makes me happy. So yeah, I liked it. It was fine.
Yeah, and I thought it was just okay. Honestly, for me, the Tanjiro comedy carried it. Um, Outside of that, they really slowed things down, so I hope things pick up next episode. But gosh, whew, glad I only do one episode because my throat's nice and dry here. So I gotta get something to remedy that.
Oh, you know what they say, Sean. Alcohol is the best medicine. And that means it's time for Mike's Beer of the Week. This week's beer comes to you from Helltown Brewing. It is their Sanctuary 2022, a 10.3% Russian Imperial Stout brewed with caramel notes, cacao, dried fruits, and coffee. Love this beer. Had it at their export location for my friend Sean's 40th birthday. A huge 40 happy birthday shout out to him. This beer was excellent. I love me a good Imperial Russian Stout. Check this out. Check this brewery out. They make a lot of great beers. They're pretty well known in the Pittsburgh area. They're up to 5 different locations. They partner with the X, they partner with DVE to have a beer for those stations. But yeah, great beer, great location. Um, and again, happy birthday to my buddy Sean. The untapped average rating is a 4.02, and I give it a 4.25.
Note, not this Sean.
Now that our thirst has been quenched, let's shift gears to talk about My Hero Academia Season 7. My Hero Academia 152, together with Shoji. I'm just gonna take a deep breath here because this episode sure is something. Alright. Interesting art choice to start the episode as we see people being awful and not accepting a young person in their village and calling them a monster for being a heteromorph. Huh. This definitely does not relate to anything happening in today's society. Definitely not.
Yeah, I was gonna say this episode actually kind of deals with some potential like real life. It has some real life implications, which isn't. It's not a bad thing, but we definitely live currently in a polarizing political climate. So when I watch anime to escape, sometimes not bashing the episode, but it's you know
No. And
this
like,
didn't do wonders for the escapism aspect of anime.
right. And like, with how like divisive the upcoming election is, it's like, ugh, and everything going on. It's like, I wanted to escape, and it's like, hey, remember all that shit that's happening in the real world? Here, here it is in your anime that you're watching currently. It's like, all right, like it's not a bad episode.
The timing's just
Um, yeah,
right of the
it's
time we're
bad
watching it.
timing, and I mean, I'll talk about it more in our general thoughts, but it's like, who cares about Choji? Like, it's season 7, it's episode 151, and like we have not focused on Shoji like at all.
Ever? Yeah, I mean, I just feel like this sort of came out of left field, and it just seems weird that they chose to talk about this kind of a topic now.
Sean, you've read the manga. Is this as prevalent in the manga as it is in this episode? Like this little episode arc?
Yeah, to be fair, it definitely lasted a few chapters in the manga, but we're gonna get to this at the end, I guess. But this was actually stretched down to 2 episodes, and I thought for sure this was gonna be one episode.
Yeah, I
Um,
was
I'm
not
kind of
thrilled that.
intrigued. Yeah, I'm kind of intrigued they're stretching it into two because honestly, when Deku arrived to fight Shigaraki, I was like, "Oh yeah, here we go." Yeah. And now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, we're really gonna like I'm hyped for that fight. And then I gotta watch like My Hero Academia solve racism for 2 episodes. And I'm like, I don't know.
It does feel weird that this is going to be like a 2 episode arc. It's like y'all could have cut some stuff out. I feel like it made it a 1 episoder. Anyways, we see coked out Spinner is leading a group of 15,000 villains and civilians to Central Hospital to free Kuragiri, and only a group of 200 heroes are standing in their way. Animal Boy saves President Mike from being attacked. The city is in full riot mode as other heteromorphs lead the charge. They're flying flags with Spinner on them, calling him their spokesperson.
I mean, I guess Spinner has to do something. He like exists in this show and has done literally like nothing for the entire show. Has he done anything?
Be menacing looking at
Yeah,
times.
maybe. That I think that's even a stretch, but yeah. Yeah, why do we care about him? Why? See, this is my issue. This show is doing stuff, this season is doing stuff out of order. This should have been some of the first stuff that they talked about. Because once Deku arrives on the scene, we don't care about anything besides Deku. Why would we cut away from that, the important thing, to talk about this now? And what kills me is like the beginning of this episode, they're literally like, before all that happened, this took place. I'm like, well, why didn't we cover this then? Why are we covering it now? Stop pulling me out of the important fight to talk about Spinner, who nobody cares about. Am I wrong?
Nope.
Like they're doing this so out of order. If I were to re-edit this stuff would have already happened in the first couple episodes of the show, and then we can move away from it. But whatever. They're just gonna do whatever they're gonna do, I guess.
We learned that Spinner got new powers from All for One, and now he's like Kevin from The Office when he's in "Why say many words when few words do trick" mode. He's like, "I Spinner, I attack, I do." It's like these powers just made him like a freaking moron, I guess.
Yeah, they took a character who like hasn't done much and made him worse by doing this. I care about this guy less because now he can't even like think or speak. He's just on, wreck building mode. Like, I don't care.
The tentacle hero Tentacle Shoji punches Spinner. Shoji asks why they are attacking a hospital and is there to make people better and to make them feel safe. Spinner surprisingly can't believe what a hospital does.
Building. What?
We learn that the young person at the start of the episode was Shoji. I guess the title of this episode should have given that away. Shoji asks what Spinner's plan is with the hospital, but Spinner has no plan. And that cracked out Spinner doesn't care about having a plan or what to do. Some jabroni with a megaphone calls for the rest of the villains to still charge the hospital. Shoji is mad that these other heteromorphs are setting their people back 30 years. Spinner transforms again as he grows red scales. Fun fact, both Spinner and Shigaraki play League.
I was even less excited about this new ability that he just magically happens to have now. I don't know. I don't know what to do with Spinner here. Maybe the writer didn't either. I don't know. Nobody cares.
We get a flashback of Shoji talking about all the prejudice he faced growing up. Ball Boy says he's sorry for calling him a creepy octopus. We learn Shoji saved a young girl when he grew up, and it was one of his only good memories he had. And then all the class is like, no, that can't be your only good memory. We'll do all this other fun stuff to make you have good memories.
I mean, it was a cute, touching moment
It
to be
was.
honest.
It was.
Like Shoji's been through a lot of shit, and I'm sure a lot of people can resonate with that. So I totally get that, and like these bits of the episode, I don't mind at all.
No.
Yeah, I see what they're doing. This is it's a powerful theme that they're touching on. I think it's weird that they're doing it now, but it's a powerful theme and it's a good theme. And sadly, in today's world, some people still need to hear this because they don't get it, which blows my mind. But regardless, these parts of the episode with Shoji, I enjoyed. I thought they were done pretty well,
No, I agree. These flashbacks were well done.
and just like his little arc in this episode is good.
Back to present day, Shoji tells Spinner that he faced all the prejudice and violence growing up, and that Spinner is hurting heteromorph progress. The heteromorphs that were charging the hospital stop as they hear Shoji's speech. Animal speaking hero stops the jabroni villain from rallying the heteromorphs again. For now.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like that's a really large crowd of people. Some people are easily swayed and don't think for themselves. Because, like, I mean, everything that like Shoji explained to these people should snap them out of it. And the fact that they're listening to some asshole with a megaphone going, "Attack the building," and they're still following is like confusing to me. But whatever.
Well, have you seen the one presidential candidate?
Well, yes, that's true. That's very true. I don't do politics, but yes, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, some people are sheep. They don't think.
Ah,
Thinking hurts brain. I'm sort of attacking people here. Look at me go.
you are.
I mean, I'm not intelligent. If I was intelligent, I would be rich. But I mean, I'm not an idiot either. Just saying.
Guys, I didn't realize this was a politics podcast all of a sudden.
Well, we talk
It's
about things here.
it's not politics, it's just being a good human being.
Oh, human being. What's that?
Is our podcast about to endorse a presidential candidate?
No, 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 no. We're not going there.
No, we don't have Taylor Swift power.
Yeah, no,
No, no,
we do
don't
not.
have that kind of sway on society, and honestly, we shouldn't. So it's okay.
That's fair. There's a reason I don't have power.
I don't want it. You know what I mean? This is the most power I have. Talking about a bunch of anime on a podcast. So that's the extent of it.
We learned Shoji and Animal Speaker volunteered to be on this team without knowing what the gig would entail, and that a dolphin heteromorph told Shoji about the charge towards the hospital. Animal Speaker has a bunch of crows take out the jabroni villain. Present Mike breaks Spinner's weapon as Shoji breaks the red scales. Shoji asks the other heteromorphs how they will use their gifts moving forward and to not be consumed by revenge. Spinner instead calls for vengeance and asks the other heteromorphs to follow him, and he breaches the hospital as the episode ends.
Oh, thank God it's over. Only it's not over because we have a whole nother episode of this.
I was gonna say we have a whole nother episode of this story to go. Yay! Maybe that'll be
Woohoo!
better. What drove me crazy about this episode was Shoji would have a speech of like, "Oh, I faced all these prejudices, I faced all this violence, yada 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 growing up," and like the other heteromorphs would be like, "Oh, that's terrible. We should stop." And Spinner's like, "Oh, that bad. I shouldn't do this." And then like literally 10 seconds later, it's like, vengeance! And all the heteromorphs are like, vengeance! And then Shoji's like, wait, stop. Prejudice bad. They're like, yeah, prejudice bad. Vengeance! It's like, holy shit. How many times are we doing this? Like, flip flop, flip flop, flip flop.
I thought this show was supposed to take place in Japan, not America. Ooh, there I go again. Sheep!
Sean, you've been quiet during the My Hero bit. What did you think of this episode?
Yeah, I mean, it was. For me, it's just it's the stakes thing. I totally agree with Turtle said earlier. I feel like if this would have happened like right after the fight with Dobby or something like that, you know what I mean? Like that, like they could have done the Dobby arc, then they could have done the Spinner stuff, or maybe they could have done like the toga stuff, then the Dobby, then the spinner. Get all the low level members of the villain organization kind of out of the way, right? Because that's what you should escalate at a reasonable pace, right? So I think they should have handled the underlings first, and then we escalate to some uh like what we have now essentially. But I don't know. This just feels out of place. I need to watch Deku fighting Tomura. I do not need this. So I don't know. It's just like the whole episode I'm watching it, my mind's on another thing. Also, I really don't mind the themes of like the heteromorphs are very interesting. I've been, I guess, very lucky in my life that I haven't been someone who has faced racism or anything like that. But this is very clearly, apparently, some people are very against heteromorphs and single them out. And I think it's a side of society that I feel like they could have leaned into more earlier in the series, and maybe I just missed some of those cues. But I feel like if there's a little more of a build up for this kind of storyline, um, then maybe I care a little more about it. But it's just a little hard.
That's a good point, Sean. Like, here we are in season 7. It's like this is the first like real time they've been dedicated any real episode to the heteromorph like stuff. Like we've seen Shoji, we've seen the animal speaking hero, we've seen heteromorphs and like, but like never the prejudice they face and anything. It's like it would have been such a more powerful story. I feel like had they built to this over the seasons, like and given Shoji his moment.
Absolutely. I 1000% agree with you. It would make more sense. I feel like the author like just woke up one day and he was like, "What am I gonna write and draw today?" I know, racism. It just comes out of nowhere. I feel like you said if they would have set up, and we even have like some heteromorph characters in the class. So like if they would have faced some of this throughout the 6 seasons prior to introduce this for season 7 here, it would be a much larger impact than what it is.
So yeah, I think we could all agree, not the best episode. They could have done a lot more to build to this moment. Well, let's go to something more positive and talk about our waifus of the week. Turtle, why don't you give us your waifu first?
This week, I'm going to steer clear of My Hero Academia, and I'm going to go with Tanjiro from Demon Slayer. His comedy bits in this episode are definitely the best bits, and he makes me laugh. He's silly, and I appreciate that. And yeah, that's really it. Tanjiro. There's not much to pick here.
Sean, why don't you give us your waifu?
This was a rough week. I feel like not a ton of characters necessarily stood out or did fantastical things. I feel like these episodes are both kind of like setup episodes for like better things to come next week. So I picked Aoi Kanzaki, the character who made and gave Tanjiro the rice balls, because I would love to eat some of those rice balls. So that was my favorite part of both of these episodes. A lot of my favorite part, but I feel like Aoi contributed the most.
I'm gonna go with Shoji. Even though we just complained about not having the best build up for this episode and everything, I mean, he just deserves it. Like, it's what he went through with shit, what he's going through with Spinner, trying to deal with him and stop them from ruining the progress that the heteromorphs have made over the last couple of years. So yeah, it's Shoji. Low-hanging fruit for the week. Thank you all for joining us this week as we watch Demon Slayer and My Hero Academia. We hope you join us next week for episode 79 of the Anime Banter podcast, where we will continue our watch of My Hero Academia Season 7 and the Hashira Training Arc for Demon Slayer. Sean, is there anything you want to plug?
As mentioned before, the Deepman Files podcast is back. Give us a listen, please. We'd love to get the listenership rolling again.
The Anime Banter podcast can be found on Facebook, X, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube. Please give us a 5-star review on all platforms that allow reviews. And if you are listening on YouTube, please like the video, hit the notification bell, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you all for joining, and we will talk to you next week.